Hello everyone, my name is Swanee. Thanks for stopping by and checking out my channel. Now for today's video, I'm going over some beginner tips and tricks for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Now I've been playing the absolute crap out of this game and I've been loving every minute of it, but that doesn't mean I didn't make some pretty big mistakes along the way. So hopefully after watching this video, I'll prevent you from making some of the same mistakes I did and I'll end up saving you a ton of time. So if you guys end up liking this video, be sure to hit the like button and let me know down in the comment section, and I'll make some more of these in the future. So with that said, let's jump right into the tips. So the first tip I want to mention is that when you first start up the game, one of the first things you should probably do is to head over to the tab where you have the Zen-Oh orders and the Whis' wishes. Here you'll find a ton of side objectives and different tasks that will earn you a ton of different rewards. Now you can complete a lot of these from just playing the game and doing very basic things like just playing regular matches, but the more you play and the more time you have invested in the game, the more specific these challenges will get and the harder they will become. So make sure you check back often so you can write down or take a mental note of which ones you should be shooting to unlock. You can earn a lot of Zeni from these, you can unlock outfits and characters, and this is also where you can earn the Dragon Balls, so you can wish for even more characters and outfits and even more Zeni. So just keep an eye on this tab. Like I said, you can complete a lot of these just from playing the story mode and doing very basic things, but the more time you invest in the late game content, it is going to get pretty difficult to complete some of these challenges. And they're designed so that you're going to be pumping in a ton of hours into this game if you're going to want to unlock everything. The next tip on this list is don't skip out on the store tab and buying upgrades. I went hours into the game before I even realized you could buy upgrades, and once I finally bought them, I thought they were just a passive buff that applied to everyone, and that's not the case. As soon as I loaded up the game, I just went straight into the story, and I played for hours and hours, and I didn't even bother to look at any of the other tabs right away because I figured I'd get to them eventually. Well, if I would have taken my time and upgraded my characters, I probably would have had a much easier time when I was going through playing the game. So when you head to the store, one of the first tabs is to purchase ability upgrades, and this can vary from anything from like getting easier combos or making your sparking last a little bit longer or increasing the damage of your like ultimate abilities. There's a bunch of really cool upgrades that you can get. But once you buy these upgrades, make sure you go over to the customization tab and select the character that you want, and this is where you apply the upgrades. Now, fortunately, the abilities can be used multiple times, so if you want to go through and upgrade every single one of the characters in your roster, you can do so that's nice. But definitely make sure you go and do this, especially if you're struggling. This game is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and I've seen a lot of people on Reddit and stuff are already complaining about the Vegeta fight early on, and this game's a lot more difficult than a lot of people were anticipating, which, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if you are struggling, make sure you go to this tab and upgrade your characters. So the next tip on this list is for making some quick Zeni. Now you use Zeni for a lot of things in this game: upgrades, cosmetics, emotes, and most importantly, unlocking characters. So how do you get Zeni? Well, by just playing the game normally, you get Zeni for pretty much every match you complete. But if you want to make a quick burst of a large amount of Zeni, then you need to head over to the tournament tab. And if you complete each of the tournament types, you'll get 160,000 Zeni the first time you complete each of them. So I was able to buy a ton of different characters in the store after I did all these tournaments. Now, it won't be enough Zeni to unlock everyone in the store, but it'll give you a pretty decent running start to unlocking everyone on your roster. But do keep in mind, if you try to cheese it and just do the tournaments over and over and over again, they do put a cap on it, and you're only going to get about 1,000 Zeni for completing the same tournament over and over again. I tried to do it with the World Tournament, and I was just knocking the AI out of bounds, and I was speedrunning it, hoping I could get rich quick, and that's just not the case. So unfortunately, you can't farm it this way, but you will get 160,000 if you complete every single tournament option that there is at least once. So the next couple of tips are for those of you that might be struggling with the combat like I was early on. If you're like me, you just wanted to jump into it immediately because you were excited, and then you very quickly got humbled by the giant ape Vegeta. I think a lot of people were expecting to just come into the game and just kick ass and blow through it, but this game's AI is no joke. Sometimes they'll give you like 5 characters in a row to fight back to back to back, and you only have 1 health bar, and sometimes enemies will just straight up spam their abilities at you. So if you're struggling early on and maybe you don't remember everything from the tutorial, head over to the Battle and Training tab and select the Super Training and Battle Training. Now you'll want to do everything in the Tactics category. And if you do this, you'll get different rewards by completing different categories, and it will help teach you a lot of useful skills. Now this game's tutorial was very brief, and by the time I loaded up the story, I honestly forgot most of what the tutorial even taught me, and I was wanting to go back and redo the tutorial, but they just don't let you do that. So if you go to this mode, it will teach you step by step how to do like blocking, it'll teach you how to like teleport and stay on the offensive, and everything in this mode will give you a description, so if you want to see it in writing and have it explained to you that way, you can do it. And if you want, there's even a demo mode option where if you press this option, it will show Piccolo performing the moves and show you what they're supposed to look like. So there was a couple times where I was doing these little tutorials and I just couldn't grasp what I was supposed to do. Like I was pressing the buttons and it just wasn't working. So I watched the demo and had them like physically show me how to do it, and then that taught me, and then I was able to figure it out. So definitely do this mode. I would recommend doing this before you even do the story, because once I got stuck in the story, I just failed the same mission like 10 times in a row. Then I took a break and I did all these tutorials. Then I went back and did that story mission and I beat it like it was nothing. So I can't recommend it enough. Go and do all these tutorials. And next up, if you're still struggling, I recommend you go into the Settings tab in the main menu and go to the Accessibility options, and then turn the Battle Assist onto Automatic. This will make the combat feel a lot smoother and a lot more forgiving. Now, I know a lot of you aren't going to want to do this because I didn't want to do it at first either. I guess it's just a pride thing. You just kind of want to go in and learn the hard way. I get it. But you can always turn these off later. I turned all these options on until I started to get the hang of things. And once I learned all the combos and got a hang for the controls, I went back and slowly turned these settings off over time as I got better at the game. Now, all of these assist features, when they're turned on, they will drain your ki automatically when they activate in combat, which can be a bit frustrating once you get into some of those more advanced combos and different abilities and stuff. So depending on your playstyle and how sweaty of a player you want to be, you'll probably want to eventually turn all of these off anyway, but I definitely recommend that early on when you're learning the ropes and everything, turn these on and it will be a huge help, and it will help you get a feel for the combat a lot faster. Now, the last tip I want to go over in today's video is for the what-if scenarios in the story mode. So if you didn't know, each character that you play in the story has multiple versions of the same story that you can play out. So for this example, I'll use Goku to try to avoid as many spoilers as possible. Now, you can play through his story as normal, just like it was in the anime, like the same story that you've seen a million times. But then if you go back in the timeline, you'll notice there are multiple sections of the map that have grayed out branches that have completely different story paths. And to unlock these different paths, there will be specific missions that will have a unique dialogue choice that you have to make, or there will be some sort of secondary objective during a fight, where if you complete the secondary objective, it will then unlock the what-if scenario. So for example, one of the very first choices that you can make in the game is if you want to side with Piccolo or not in the Saiyan saga. If you side with Piccolo, then things will play out like normal, just like in the anime, but if you choose to go at it alone, you'll get a completely different outcome that wasn't like the anime at all. For example, if you go at it alone, I think Krillin and Master Roshi will end up helping you defeat Raditz, and then eventually down the line that changes everything, and then like the Frieza saga is changed, and the Ginyu Force will come to Earth, and like Frieza comes to Earth and stuff, and it's just really cool and interesting to see how it plays out. So keep an eye out on your timeline for these little symbols that show obviously two different paths, and then see if there's some sort of secondary objective that it tells you to complete. Like I know one example is that it wants you to like kill Frieza with a spirit bomb, and then that will give you a different outcome. And then I know one of the branches that you can get with the Saiyan saga is if you defeat Raditz like extremely quickly, then that will have a branch. And then if you defeat Vegeta in his ape form, then you can like turn Super Saiyan during the Saiyan saga instead of facing Frieza, and it's just like a completely different story. But do keep in mind though that you have to be playing on the regular difficulty. There's two different difficulty modes. There's like the default difficulty, and then you can turn down the difficulty and play on like the easier mode. You cannot unlock these what-if scenarios if you play on the easy difficulty. So if you want to see all these really cool what-ifs, make sure you go to those training modes modes, level up your characters, go out and practice a lot, learn all the different combos and stuff. That way you can play on the normal difficulty and get to experience everything that the game has to offer. So that is going to do it for everything in today's beginner tips and tricks video for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. If you guys enjoyed this video, then consider giving it a thumbs up because it helps me out in the algorithm, and that lets me know that you guys are interested in this, and that tells me you want to see more tips and tricks videos in the future. If you're new here, consider hitting the subscribe button and hitting the bell for notifications. That way you don't miss out on any future videos. And that is going to do it for me, guys, and I will talk to you all next time.